Welcome to the Certificate in Environmental Management, brought to you by the Southern Institute of Technology. This week we check out the sea and the critters that lie below as we follow the YMCA school holiday program and later head to Otago to check out the New Zealand Marine Study Centre. But for now, let's go and find some yellow-eyed penguins. Right, what a fantastic day we have at Penguin Place today, Howard.
Yeah, it's beautiful. After a nice rain, the colours have come out perfectly.
It is, it's great. And what are we looking at down here?
Well, just down below is some of the work we're doing in the Conservation Reserve to help the penguins. It's freshwater lakes. We've planted all these native trees in for them. There's nest boxes for the penguins so that they're safe. And that's generally just to improve the penguin habitat.
Mm-hmm. And how did this originally begin?
Well, we'll go back to the start, probably in the middle of the 1980s. This whole beach here was covered in thick lupin. It died in 1 year. There was a plant disease came from the North Cape right down to the bluff and killed all the lupin off. And the penguins that we had up in the paddock and right on the foreshore decided this is where they wanted to come back in, 150, 200 metres from the sea. And from there we started off saving the penguin by using nest boxes, doing trapping and shooting. But after about 7 years we thought, gosh, this is getting expensive. We've got a good quality product. If we can put a system in place, we'll use the penguins to raise money so they can help with the money can help with the conservation of them.
Great, so how is the conservation affecting the area?
Oh, nothing but enhancing it. You know, over the years we've been able to plant just on 20,000 new native trees. We've created wetlands for the penguins. We've had been able to get a hospital going where we rehabilitate sick and injured penguins from right around the whole area. Buy in the fish. So, you know, it's been a marvellous asset, and it runs as a very successful business as well.
When you first found the penguins, how many were they?
Well, we had 8 pair on this area here. There was four up in the paddock at the south end, 4 up in the paddock at the north end. And today we're looking possibility of 27 pair to lay this year, plus young juvenile penguins and 2-year-olds that won't lay. So approximately 65 birds on this beach.
That's fantastic, and obviously they must be happy here.
Well, they seem to be. They're all gravitating down towards this end here. Within the actual reserve where we take people, I think we've got about 14 pairs of penguins nesting. Quite phenomenal.
And they don't mind everyone coming to have a look?
Well, no, they don't seem to. On the beach, they're very, very scared out on the beach, and no one goes on the beach at all. But once they come into what they consider their own territory, they seem to lose a lot of that nervousness. If the groups that come through, they do the same thing every day, the penguins will cope with that. If you try and do something different for the first few days, the penguins will move away. So everything is very set out of what the guides are allowed to do and how many people they're allowed to bring through at any one time.
I see you have tunnels just through here.
Yes, yeah, well that was a system we devised that over the years of monitoring the birds in the colonies before we opened it up as a tourist attraction. The less impact you made, the less frightened the penguin. So when you're crawling up on a nest, the lower you kept, the less agitated the penguin became. So if you stand up, it becomes quite agitated. So we thought, okay, let's go down to their eye level and dig a trench. And the first year we just dug open trenches, and the penguins would actually stand on the bank and go 1, 2, 3, count people going past. But we got that busy that it then became a problem people to people, because you'd be standing up here and see, you know, 20 or 30 heads going around the trenches. So we put the covers on to get people out of people's sight. That's the main reason they went on, and then it's just gradually grown from something that started off at 50 to 60 metres long to something 700 metres of tunnels and trenches through the system.
So how long has it taken you to develop this?
Well, probably over a 5-6 year period.
5-6 years.
To do things. We've just done it out of income. We had a few spare dollars. We were able to put the lakes in here, give them permanent water, and extend the trenches by as the number of people go. You had to have different options of where to take them. So you do another 50 metres somewhere else, oh yeah, not a lot, quite a long job.
And do the penguins only come up here to breed?
No, they're here every day of their life.
Every day.
And these birds that are up here and up above where we are now, probably 150, 180 feet above the beach, will come back to that nest site nearly every day of their life.
Do you have to assist with the breeding at all?
Assist in that we monitor them, where they're going to lay. If there's nothing safe to give them any protection from predators, we'll put a nest box within that territory they've chosen. We don't make them go in it, they have then have the choice of going into it. We'll go round every second day as scientists come round, especially during the egg laying, so we can get an accurate dates on when the birds will hatch. 4 or 5 days or a week before they hatch, we'll go round and maybe check the eggs for fertility and remove eggs that are rotten out of the nest. And then once the chicks started hatching, we go round every day and check that they're getting out of the shell quick enough. Sometimes if you get a very dry season, the wee chick is not strong enough to pip the shell and break the shell, so sometimes we just have to pick it open a little bit just to help them. But apart from that, no, we don't.
Do they breed in large groups for safety, or do they just stick to pairs?
No, in pairs, just the two of them. It's been said in years gone by, scientific statements that if the birds see each other or looking at each other when they're nesting, they will both fail. I don't believe that, but one day here, if two birds sit looking at each other and we have enough penguins about, rather than put a visual barrier between the two nests, I'm going to leave them and I think disprove that theory.
And once they hatch, what happens? Do the babies stick around up here for long?
Well, they're here for 15 weeks.
15 weeks.
The chicks grow from something of 75 to from 7,500 grams up to something 5.5 to 6 kilograms in 15 weeks. For the first 8 weeks of their life, one of the parents stops with them to guard them, because that's when they're at risk from cats and ferrets and that sort of thing. After 8 weeks, they're both growing the chicks are growing that fast that both parents are forced to go fishing, and then they'll come in the evening and feed the chicks and then away out fishing the next day.
And then they have to go out themselves?
They have to go out themselves. And they're on their own. Once they decide to be stop fed at the nest, they're on their own. The parents don't take them to the water, so it's just natural instincts.
What is the survival rate like?
Well, it depends. Some years we can get up to 25, 30%. I think the best we've had in here is around about 45% of chicks that survive through until breeding age. You get very high survival rates, chicks fledging from being hatched, but it's that first year of life at sea that a lot can turn up. Other years we've had recently that you get a 100% fledging rate and a 0% return rate to breed. So it just depends what's out in the ocean.
Do you tag the birds to keep an eye on them and make sure the same ones are coming back?
Yes, we do. We tag them as chicks here, young ones at around about 13 weeks when they've got their juvenile plumage on, and new adults that come into the colony that are not banded. Once they start breeding here on the nest, then we'll tag them, and so we can keep a breeding record of how successful they are. And with the bands on, you know that if half a dozen bands disappear, something's happening in the rest of the colony, where if the birds weren't banded, we wouldn't know if they were dying or just out for the day. So no, it's we feel it's important here, and it's also important to be done where monitoring is very high, because sometimes the bands will open. It's no use banding in a place you only go and look at once a year.
Great. Are you working on any more areas than just this one here? Have you had to extend for the numbers?
Well, no, not for tour numbers, no. Once we're full on the tours, we set standards in 1991 of the number of people we would let come through. We're at that peak now, and we don't let any more people come through. Sometimes in the summer we'll send 100, 150 people away. So no, it's up to each individual operator to monitor what they perceive to be the optimum number that doesn't impinge on the penguins, and also doesn't impinge on the quality of the experience you're going to give the tourist that's paying good money to come through.
And what can anyone do if they want to come out and take a look?
Well, they just ring us. They can ring us, and it does pay to ring and book. We'll hold spaces for them, or they can book through a tour company, visitor centre.
Great. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
That's all right, my pleasure.
Shall we go and spot some more penguins?
We'll go and have a look anyway. Okay.
Cool. Based on the Otago Peninsula, the New Zealand Marine Centre has students discovering new things each and every day. Next, we head on to their boat, the Polaris, to speak to PhD student Jean McKinnon. Jean, I've been told that the New Zealand Marine Centre here is over 100 years old. There must be a fair amount of history behind what you and your team do here.
Absolutely. It was opened originally in 1904 as a fish farm for mainly European fishes. The idea was that we're going to bring them here, release them into the wild, and they'd breed up and you'd have nice familiar fish to eat.
Fantastic.
Not the sort of thing we'd really like to do these days. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So after that, the focus became very much onto what's actually here, the native species and so forth. The university took over the facility in 1951 and ran it as a marine biological station. But just prior to that, in the early 30s, the public aquarium section was actually opened as well. So public education here is pretty huge as well. It's been going on for a very long time.
So lots and lots of research going on.
Lots of research. We're part of the Department of Marine Science at the university. So we're mainly a postgraduate department, which means that you can't do your bachelor's degree with us. But you can do a postgraduate diploma, a master's or a PhD.
Okay.
So at any one time we can have anywhere between 20 and 50 postgraduate students working either here or in Fiordland or in town.
Yep. And how old is the aquarium that you've got on the side?
The aquarium opened around about 1931. So again, 75?
So it's quite a popular place for tourists as well?
Totally, particularly over summer. We had our first cruise ship of the season last Friday.
Great.
We'll have visitors coming from all over the world, from the UK, America, we had some from Mexico and Afghanistan yesterday, Israel, all over the place.
How are we helping the environment here?
Primarily by public education, by letting people know all of the wonderful things that are here. We hear a lot in New Zealand about, save the takahe, the tuatara, the kiwi. But did you know that our little triple fin fish, only grows to that size, lives in our rock pool, is unique to New Zealand.
Wow.
All species here only are found here, so they're as unique as the kiwi. And we can let people know that and maybe give them appreciation for what's here. In addition, our graduate students do a lot of research on often endangered species like Hector's dolphin. They also look at the impact that tourism has on these animals. So there's just heaps going on.
What are some examples of some of the research that the students are doing or have done?
We have one student looking into the use of anaesthetics with power for farming use, so that we don't need to harvest from the wild. Now the problem with power is that they're haemophiliac. They bleed if they're cut and they'll bleed to death. And so farmers have difficulty getting them off the sides of their containers without injuring them. And it's thought if we can give them a mild dose of an anaesthetic, they'll let go and not get hurt. And so there's students looking at which is the best anaesthetic to do that doesn't interfere with the animal's growth. We also do fisheries research, squid research for example. Where do they live, how old do they get, what do they eat, all sorts of quite basic stuff.
And what are some of the facilities that you have here available to do this kind of work?
We have a multidisciplinary lab, so we have the ability to do a limited amount of genetics. We can hold animals in fairly normal seawater conditions. We can alter their light and dark cycles. We have a chemistry lab, we have a biology lab, computers coming out our ears, all sorts of things.
Yep, and of course this fantastic boat that we're standing on now.
The Polaris too.
Yeah.
She's our new research vessel and she's an ocean-going research vessel. So she regularly goes into Fiordland, down to Stewart Island, right out off the continental shelf, looking particularly at the animals that live right on the bottom.
Yep.
She also does chemical research. How does the sea change as you leave the shore?
Oh wow.
Where do the currents go? What's in them? All sorts of stuff.
And how do you store the animals that are here?
All the animals are held in free-flowing water tanks. So what we actually do is we pump water directly from the harbour. We're very, very lucky here that we have a really clean source. We run it through some filters to remove silt and sand and so forth. And then it's pumped to the top of the hill into reservoirs and then piped through the entire facility. So it'll run through the Marine Studies Centre, through the lab, through the aquarium, and then it's put back out to sea. So the animals are always getting fresh water. The problem with running it through the sand filters is that it takes any plankton out of it as well.
Okay.
So things like seahorses, which depend on plankton to eat, can't get any food. So we actually have to put out nets and catch plankton for them. Animals are fed, at least in the aquarium, twice a week, so Wednesdays and Saturdays, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but they're cold water animals and they don't need any more. If we fed more often, they simply wouldn't eat it.
And she's available for students?
She is, yes. Graduate students can use some of their grant money to book her. But interestingly, she's also available to schools.
Yep.
So if a school wanted to take a group of school children out to maybe learn how marine scientists do things, they can book a trip on the Polaris as well.
Can you tell me a bit about something you may have discovered here with work that's been done?
Just off the top of my head, the one thing we have, well, at least I discovered from my PhD, is that squid actually eats seahorses, which is something we'd never thought, because you look at a seahorse, you think, nice and bony. But we found seahorses in their stomachs. We've also found sharks in their stomachs too, so they eat a huge range of things.
Yep.
Pretty much anything they want.
Yep. And have you guys won any awards or had any recognition for the work that you do?
Not really. We don't tend to put in for them. We kind of figure that our own reward is seeing, tourists going away happy, seeing the children having learned something. The number of journals that we get published in, we have quite a high publication rate.
Yep.
And also our students are quite in demand at international conferences to present their research, and so that's how we judge what we're doing. But we are an accredited Qualmark facility in the environmental tourism, so that in itself is pretty good.
It is, it's very good. And what work do you do in the Otago Peninsula?
On the peninsula we have a number of students and staff who do bird surveys. They look at seals and sea lions in particular. We monitor the growth of the sea lion colony here, right from the first one mum right through to the current pups.
Yep.
We have also students working in the mudflat areas of Papanui and Hooper's Inlet, looking at what's there and how human impacts affect that sort of thing. One of our students looks at the tiniest little worms, the size of an eyelash.
Wow.
And he estimates that there is probably more of them in a metre squared in the bottom of the harbour than there is of all other animals on the planet.
Wow.
That's how small they are, but they're very, very important.
And do you have any students here that are maybe studying or discovering something in New Zealand for the first time?
Most of our PhD students, that's part of the requirements of the degree, is that you're doing something brand new.
Wow.
The student I mentioned that was looking at the tiny little worms, he's found half a dozen or more new species.
Great.
We just simply, there's so much we don't know, so you can pretty much guarantee to find something out new every day.
Yep. And how do members of the public find out about these studies? Are we allowed to, or do we wait until it's all over?
We try and incorporate what our students are doing into our public education programs. So often you'll find the staff that are in the aquarium for the public are also graduate students. And there'll be posters up and lots of information. Anything really startling, we try and get into the paper.
Yep, of course.
So lots of ways.
And what happens with the public education program?
We are open for independent travellers, so if you want to visit the aquarium, you can. We're open from 12. And you can just visit and have a look around. But we also take groups, so interested groups like natural history groups or schools, right from tiny little preschoolers right through to university groups. And we also get those from all over the world as well.
Cool. And what's available in the aquarium for them to check out?
We display local animals and plants from the local environment. So we have seahorses, we have octopus, we have pigfish, which are really cool. They grunt like a pig if they're startled. And they are native to the lower half of the South Island here. We have touch pools, probably our most popular exhibit, where you can get your hands wet and have a feel of sea stars and crabs, only gentle ones. Maybe even sometimes try some seaweed chips.
Seaweed chips?
Lucky. Yep. You can cook bladder kelp into chips and it tastes like a cross between potato chips and popcorn.
Oh wow. So if anyone does want to come and check it out, they can pop out here at 12, is it?
12 till 4:30.
Is that weekdays and weekends?
It's every day except Christmas Day. Or if you wanted a little more in-depth look, we actually do a guided tour at 10:30 and it's a peek behind the scenes. So we'll take you behind our fish tanks to see how we look after the animals and so forth as well.
Great. Wow. Can we go and have a look?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Known for their school holiday programs, the YMCA is teaching children about the environment. Let's follow them out to a Maui beach. Can you keep these tell me why yourself and the children are out at Maui today?
We're just like learning about the environment. That's why trees was down from dock, and just getting them familiar with the beach, and it's learning about the environment too, like recycling and stuff.
And why do you think it's important to inform the kids about the environment and have them down here?
Well, you see what's happening on the news and all that with global warming and stuff, so they need to know, they need to be aware of their environment and know, like, you know, what humans can do to destruct the environment and how we can protect the environment and keep it clean. Yeah.
So what do you have them collecting down here at the moment?
Today, we just had them collecting bits of driftwood and shells for their wind chimes, but they're also collecting, what were they collecting? Just things off a scavenger hunt, and that Teresa had prepared for them. And in the past, they've like collected rubbish as well, and then they get told that, you know, rubbish is not good and to put it in the bin. Yeah.
So the YMCA camp is just up behind us here.
Yeah.
So they're off to the camp after this to create some wind chimes, is it?
Yeah, we're going to have lunch first, and then we're going to make our wind chimes. We're going to make bird feeders in the afternoon and play some games, yeah, outdoor games. Hopefully the weather holds up.
We found here.
I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. Oh, yeah. Taryn, you're not supposed to pick it up like that. I'll just hold it in there. You get in there. Yeah. Good boy. Down's the G girl, and those two are boys.
Okay, and how did you know if they were a boy or a girl?
Because girls don't have the lines in the middle, and the boys have the line in the middle. I'll just pick up this one and show you it. Down's really weird.
Oh, so that one's got lines?
Yeah. And this one has a line as well. And that one hasn't.
Teresa, what else are the kids looking for here today?
They've got a little scavenger hunt to do.
Yeah.
Yep, so it's like, it's going to be quite cryptic puzzles, so it's something growing under difficulty and something that fits inside something else and things like that. So it's quite creative, and they get to look outside the square. When they go back up to the camp, they're going to be making mobiles and doing some art with the bits and pieces that they find.
Is it quite easy to find all that sort of stuff down here?
Have you found much stuff?
No, only one crab.
Yeah, but that's because you were mainly looking for crabs though, eh? How about when we stopped and we looked at the rocks? Do you remember how we found that shiny shell?
Yeah.
And then, like the periwinkle, that round shell? Can you remember whether your crab was a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Yeah, how could you tell?
Yeah, how do you know?
Because it had the sweet extra thing on it.
When you turned it upside down?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell what type of crab it was too, eh? How did you figure that out?
Because we had this crab wheel and we went round and told you where it lived and what colour it was.
So
Oh,
yeah, you did
wow.
kind of like detective work, eh?
Yeah. I've got this shell and it looks like it's alive, and well it is, and I found it on a rock and it was stuck to a rock.
Hello, what's your name?
Ben,
Ben. Hi Ben, what are you doing over here?
I'm just going to do it.
You're trying to get ink for your pen. Wow, and what are you trying to draw? Your name? Your name. Is it fun drawing in the sand?
Yeah.
Is that what you like to do at the beach? Oh, have you been searching for things today?
Yeah.
What did you find?
Driftwood.
Driftwood. Oh, is that what you're using as your pen?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very good. Is this the first year this has been done, or?
Yes,
It is,
well, it's
yeah.
been done once before.
Fantastic. And you find the children take it quite positively?
Yeah, they love it. Well, we're at St. Pat's, based at St. Pat's, and it's just at the school. So, you know, they're at the school for 4 terms, so it's nice for them just to get out, especially out here. And it's almost like an adventure, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are some of the rules? What have we got to think of for beach safety and also for caring for the environment while we're down here?
Well, they're meant to stay away from the water, which we try and do. They're not allowed in the water at all. We have a lifeguard. She comes down with us just in case anything happens like that. Shoes, they're to wear shoes because of the glass on the around on the rocks and stuff.
And what are they allowed to touch down here and take away, and what are they not?
Okay, they can touch anything that's not hazardous. So like, try not get them to pick up the glass and stuff. They can take away anything that is dead. So that's like driftwood and shells and that. But the crabs stay here.
The crabs stay
Thank
here.
God.
I think the crabs are pretty popular.
Yeah, they love the crabs. Yeah.
Cool, well, it sounds like a fantastic program you've got running here today. And are you in charge?
Yes, I'm in charge.
What's that like? Is it a bit difficult?
Yeah, it's cool. This is my second holiday program, and yeah, it's good. It all depends too on whether you have a good team of volunteers.
Yeah.
And yeah, without our volunteers, it wouldn't be possible. So it's really great having good volunteers, ones that use the initiative, and just makes my job way easier.
Is it quite important to get the children outside and
Yeah.
getting active?
Yeah. Well, most of my days, yesterday was my only day inside, and all this week everything's outside. We're doing active things like on Friday we're going to Gore,
Yeah.
so we're going to ice skating and swimming, so just promote being active and things like that, yeah.
Fantastic.
Just get them out and about.
Great, well thank you so much for having
That's
a chat
right.
with me.
Thanks.
I'll let you get back to work.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you would like more information on the Certificate in Environmental Management, please call 0800 SIT to learn. We'll see you next week.